The vision statement should talk on beyond carbon and climate aspects, and it should include governance aspect. And the vision statement should not time bound, and it should be eternal. It should be eternal, and it should cover holistically. All sectoral approach should be there, and the inclusiveness also should cover in the vision statement. Considering all these things, we had some thoughts for vision statement. Green nations for prosperity. Other than that, Harita Ratak Sapiri Hetak. Harita Ratak, Harita Hetak Sapiri Ratak. Then Haritamaya Sangvardhita Ratak Sri Lanka. Then the other thing is an inclusive green development for Sri Lanka. Then the other thing is the develop Sri Lanka through a green approach. And the other thing is greening Sri Lanka towards development. Then green nations, prosperous future. Those are some of the statements that we have picked and discussed for to be included as vision statements.
The sectors were forest, agriculture, livestock and fisheries, and based on that to develop a vision statement. And what we did is we basically developed something that actually looks at all these sectors and ensure what we want to kind of achieve. And we came up with sustainable development with carbon neutrality towards a resilient future. Now, when we speak about some of these words, for instance, resilient and carbon neutrality, we speak about being green, we speak about what the country needs to achieve, mitigation and adaptation both all together in that as well. And we also have an optional one, so we have two options right here. That was a last thought. In case this is more like too optimistic probably to talk about being carbon neutral and all of that, then maybe transition into a sustainable, low carbon and resilient future. Also, we looked at, in terms of sectors, the challenges we have achieving green growth pathways. We've identified a set of challenges, and there are more. Actually, we thought maybe addressing some of these sectoral issues will basically address most of the issues in general, achieving a green growth in the country. For instance, we have a lack of high-tech agricultural instruments in terms of agriculture and reliable climate predictions.
Water and health, the vision statement came across considering a lot of keywords. Secure, harmonizing with the environment, clean water, availability of land, population density, consumption, climate resilience, availability of water, gender inclusion and well-being. Problems and the strategies, unpredictable climate system, rainfall variability, robust early warning systems, urbanization, environmental pollution, climate change impact over exploitation.
So one of the biggest barriers for green growth would be lack of implementation of policy strategies and action plans. So one of the reasons is not having coordination among stakeholders. So what we propose is develop a strategy, implementation and monitoring mechanism with resource mobilization for green growth. So that is what we are joined here today. Then lack of private sector engagement. So the solution is encourage private sector participation. You need to bring them in at the right time so that their concerns, views are incorporated, so the documents that we produce will have their ownership. Unless we do that, the lack of participation will remain to be so.
Okay, we have identified few keywords before we come to a particular vision. Now, the certain thing that we will discuss is green and responsible tourism. Green urban spaces, sustainable cities and communities, and then ecotourism, responsible consumption and production. We came to the final conclusion, and based on those keywords that we have developed a vision statement that it says inclusive, resilient, green, livable urban spaces. The first one is it should be content driven, it should be gender responsive, it should be multi-sectoral, multidisciplinary, and it should be relevant. It should be relevant to the system, and it should be time bounded. It should be applicable. The vision should be applicable, and there should be an investment strategy for that.
Of course, you know everything will not go into the vision. I'm sure you will understand that aspect. Your vision has to be formulated to cover up all aspects, all spheres. And we'll come back to you with that vision once again to validate it with you all, and all the other ideas will make sure that will go into the strategy development component, because these ideas given will be very useful to start developing the basic framework, basic structure of green growth strategy, which can be muscled up later by all the participants and many more stakeholders to join us in the future. So thank you.
Okay, so going from the vision setting workshop, this has been our first point of engagement with the stakeholders, and we received really great responses from the stakeholders present in the workshop. We received inputs on what the vision for green growth in Sri Lanka leading up to 2050 could be. We heard aspects on carbon neutrality, resilience, on inclusion, on country-driven and multidisciplinary, multi-sectorial approaches, and gender responsiveness being mentioned as being critical. We had some suggestions for statements already, for like a vision statement, such as beyond carbon and climate aspects. Sustainable development with carbon neutrality towards a resilient future. Harmony with environment to secure the well-being, and actually translate in Sinhalese, so the country ownership was really shown by the stakeholders. And now what we're going to do is we will go back. This has been our first point of engagement, as I was saying. We need to, of course, analyze the feedback we've received, and we're going to propose a complete, or like a first proposal for a vision statement that will lead the process of developing the green growth strategy. And what is following is now a more in-depth, very technical pathway analysis, looking at the different scenarios for green growth in Sri Lanka, with the needed intervention packages and the finance that is also needed, and have follow-up engagement with stakeholders, validate our the work as we go along, and receive more inputs.